Hello, my name is Gus, but you can call me BATGUS, and we are back with our Batman, the animated series commentary. And today's episode is going to be one of the most interesting in this whole show, and it is called Dreams in Darkness, a episode that will feature again the Scarecrow as the main villain, but also puts Batman in a very unusual situation. So let's check it together. As usual, I'm going to do my countdown, and you can watch it together with me in your Blu-ray set or DVD box set of Batman the Animated Series or the streaming service that has the show. All right, so let's go in 3, 2, 1, let's play. The Warner Bros. Logo is on the screen. And like I said, Dreams in Darkness is probably one of the most fascinating episodes in the whole show in terms of story and plot, because it will feature Batman being taken into Arkham Asylum and imprisoned there just as his Rogues Gallery villains, right? So it's very interesting to see Batman in this situation. So much so that the first picture that shows up the art of the animation that shows the name of the episode in the beginning, it's Batman in this straitjacket, like a lunatic that is imprisoned in Arkham. It's a very beautiful art. It's very dark and very well done. And yeah, the episode starts in Arkham, featuring Batman already imprisoned. So we're gonna discover what happened with him, what events led him to be in a jail of Arkham through flashbacks of the episode. And we see the doctors and the nurses of Arkham visiting his jail cell, and Dr. Bartholomew is the one who takes care of all the villains in the asylum, and now he's talking to Batman, and Batman is babbling about that he needs to be free because he doesn't have more time. He needs to solve something that we will see later what it is. But anyway, so the episode already starts straight to the point, and it doesn't really give us a backstory yet of what happened. But we have also something unusual in the story, that is Batman narrating the events of the flashbacks to us, right? Narrating a voiceover. So it's very interesting to see that. And we have the first flashback. It starts showing that Batman was going after a criminal in the pump station of Gotham City. A guy dressed very interestingly with these devices on hand to do something to the drinking water of the pump station, and he was going to do something with the pipes of the place. So Batman arrives, and they have this fight, which will eventually lead to a gas explosion. And the guy who fights Batman is very interesting because it looks like he doesn't have one hand, and he uses this driller to fight Batman, which is very cool, actually. But the driller eventually hits one of the pipes and releases this gas that will infect Batman, and for those who know what a red gas means into this show, we all know that the a red gas means the fear toxin, right? Which comes straight from the Scarecrow, and that will play a huge part in the events that take Batman Bruce Wayne into the Arkham Asylum. And then we see Batman analyzing some clues and the equipment that the criminal was using. Then he's using the computer, typing some information. Then he sees the Joker in the reflection of the computer. But then he just rises from his chair, and upon attacking the Joker, he actually sees that it's Alfred, not the Joker, coming towards him. So he starts to have hallucinations regarding the effect of the fear gas, the fear toxin. By the way, I have to also say that this is officially the final episode of this season, or at least in this DVD Blu-ray set. But I guess in the official season, this is the last episode. So we made it. We made it through the first season, which is great. So next week, probably we will talk about the second season. Also is very interesting that we have another episode with the Scarecrow, because the villain was already featured in an episode a couple episodes ago, I think, or something like that. That was the Fear of Victory, right? I already made my commentary on that episode, and he's back. But it's always very strange and unusual when we have two episodes featuring the same villain so close to each other. And by the way, my brother used to say when I was a kid, this season of the show has too many Scarecrows episodes. And I was like, yeah, true. But I didn't really care, because I always loved the Scarecrow as a villain. I always thought that, in an ideal world, the Scarecrow should be the Batman's main villain, because he uses fear, right? And fear is the worst, or at least the weak spot of Batman. When we talk about his trauma, right? So, so I always thought that the Scarecrow is a much more interesting villain to be the main bad guy for Batman than the Joker. I usually don't have this fascination with the Joker that many people have. I always prefer villains, more dark villains like the Scarecrow. Anyway, Batman, he got examined by one doctor that told him to go home and stay home because he was infected with the fear toxin, but he refused, and he went back to the Arkham Asylum. But in the middle of the road, he had a hallucination of seeing Robin, and the Batmobile was going to hit Robin, so he dodged the illusion and ended up having a crash, right? And the Batmobile crashed near Arkham. So the doctors and the nurses of the institution grabbed Batman and put him into one of the jail cells, right? And then we go back to the beginning of his stay as a prison, where the doctor makes some questions to him. One of the nurses tries to remove his mask while take him to the cell, but the doctor stops him by saying that this is a pivotal part of Batman's personality. So if he has his mask removed, it could cause trouble to his treatment, right? So since the doctor is this psychiatrist or psychologist, he really has to protect the mental stability of his patients. And Batman has this conversation with the doctor where the doctor tries to calm him down and actually make him understand that all these villains have this dual personality, and they Jack Napier as the Joker, which is strange because the Joker has a name in the show. He never has a name usually. Harvey Dent as Two-Face, Pamela Isley as Poison Ivy, and he has to. This is a condition that these criminals have in Arkham, and they are being treated. Which, by the way, Batman says there's no. None of them are they responsible for what's happening. There is just one responsible, that is Dr. Or Professor Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow. And then we see the Scarecrow. He is in the underbellies of Arkham, doing a scheme to release his gas into the city. And meanwhile, Batman is imprisoned and not able to do anything. And then we just start a scene now that is probably the best scene of this show, or the episode, should I say. That is Batman having an hallucination where he gets out of his cell but ends up in the crime alley, and he sees his parents. And it's a very psychological scene, again, proving that this show is not for children, right? It's very serious because all the walls of the crime alley starts to bend and twist. So it's a very crazy and dark scene. And he sees his parents going to a tunnel under a bridge, and this tunnel becomes a gun, a huge, gigantic gun that was the gun that killed his parents. And it's very interesting that in the past, guns were not allowed to be shown in cartoons, right, in animations. So Batman the Animated Series was the first animation to be able to show guns, real guns, right? If you take examples like G.I. Joe or even the Rambo cartoon, in the past, all the guns in those shows, they were like laser beams, right? Almost like futuristic guns that shot plasma beams and not real bullets, right? So here it's probably, I don't know if it is the first show, but probably one of the first shows to really show real weapons with real bullets, right? So it's a very interesting thing. And then the nurses of Arkham entering Batman's cell, and Batman is able to escape, or at least he struggles with the nurses, while the doctor Bartolomeo is going to sting him with tranquilants to make him sleep. And we cut back to the Scarecrow with his goons in the bowels of Arkham, doing their deeds to release his toxin into the water supply of the city. And when we cut back to Batman being contained by the nurses, then he is able to escape. He fights them back, and he escapes from his cell, which is a very good scene. Bartolomeo activates a alarm in the Arkham, and Batman starts to run in the corridors of the place, which will eventually lead him to fight some other guards and be able to escape. So yeah, he and all of this while he still wears his straitjackets, even though he just got an axe, emergency axe on the corridor, and he was able to rip the straitjacket and get rid of it. So we had this confrontation with Batman and the cops, and he asks one of the cops to take him to the basement where the Scarecrow is probably acting, right? This is something this scheme of the Scarecrow is very similar to Batman Begins, when he uses the water supply to spread his toxin in Gotham, right? So a very interesting thing that Nolan probably took an inspiration from here. Then we have Batman going to the basements of Arkham, and we're gonna have this other amazing hallucination scene where he meets his most famous villains, and they all become these giant titans, right? We have the Joker and the Penguin. They then we will eventually have my favorite scene where the Penguin's face explodes and becomes Two-Face's face, right? Then we will also have a cameo from Poison Ivy right here. Two-Face melts into Poison Ivy, and she uses these arms of plants to drag Batman. We also have Robin and Alfred showing up but being against him. So it's just an amazing scene. And one thing that was very cool also is that the Joker, he was a rat in the basement, right? So he was a rat that became gigantic and ended up become the Joker. Then in the end of the hallucination, we see Batman falling to an abyss and being devoured by the huge head of the Scarecrow. And this is where he momentarily wakes up back again into conscious while going to the basement of Arkham, which is basically a huge cave with a river that the Scarecrow will use to spread his toxin. And this is it. Batman is going to find the Scarecrow and his goons, but he will also have some difficulty to stop the scheme, since he's having these hallucinations from time to time, because the toxin is still acting in his bloodstream. And again, as I always say, I love when Batman is faced with illusions or dreams or hallucinations, because it's always a very the potential to create something very dark in his own mind is always very cool. And right here, for example, the Scarecrow orders his goons to attack Batman, and they become these monsters with huge mouths attacking him. So he starts to be afraid of them, and eventually he will things will start to twist and turn in his mind, and like I said, it's always very cool to have this. What else I can say about this episode? Um, at the time, I always thought, after the release of Batman and Robin, it was promised by Joel Schumacher that we would have a Scarecrow as the main villain of the 5th movie, probably final movie in the Batman series. And I always thought I would love to see this kind of version of the character, very skinny, very cruel, and to see a Batman movie where we would have this tone and these illusions being taken into this kind of a horror genre tone, right? With with the creativity of the writers to make Batman face crazy illusions would be amazing in the big screen. And unfortunately, we only had a little of that in the Nolan verse with Batman Begins and so forth. We never had a full bombastic version of the Scarecrow and his illusions taking part in Batman's spheres, right? And that would be... I still want to see that on the big screen someday. Anyway, Batman is able to release the gas of the Scarecrow in all his goons and himself. He's able to defuse the bomb that would spread his toxin into Gotham. And Jonathan Crane ends up being imprisoned in the same cell that he was before, in his place now. So Batman saves the day, and we end the episode with this very cool scene with Batman laying down on a bed of Batcave while Alfred gives him an antidote for him to sleep. And probably Batman will have now a long 2 days of rest, and until his mind is back to normal. And we have this shadow of a real bat on the cave looming over him while he finally rests. Great episodes, very cool, one of the best of the show. And that's it for now. Thank you so much if you watched this commentary with me. Hope you like it, and I hope you are liking this Bat content in the channel. If you are liking, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so we can keep talking about Batman and DC Universe for as long as we can. Alright? See you in the next Bat video, and bye-bye.